Hello and welcome back for another week on League One Live. Another bumper pack show for you tonight. 12 games, 26 goals across Sky Bet League One. It was a brilliant weekend of action. We had goals from absolutely everywhere. We had thrillers everywhere. We had away wins. We had home wins. A couple of draws in there for good measure. A couple of last-minute goals. And, of course, some red card drama as well. Thank you to everyone that are in the live chat already. And let me know if you can see and hear me all right. And I know there'll be a couple of smiles from Portsmouth, as I say that, Thomas. Hello, mate. Again, let me know if you can see and hear me all right, and get your comments in about your team's weekend. Unfortunately, this weekend we are alone. We couldn't quite get our co-host to come. Let's beat around the bush. We have got him in. It's Jake from Channel 72. Hey, mate.
Hey, Ben.
Hello. You right, mate?
Oh, mate. I am unbelievable. I'm very good, mate. How are you?
Very, very good. Now, Lincoln beat Fleetwood yesterday, and we'll come to that later on in the live chat. And if you could, as you are joining the live stream, please like. It does help more than you will know, and it literally brings more people to the channel. And we're so close now to 12,000 subscribers. So again, get liking. That'd be massively appreciated. Tony is here. Evening all. Congrats to the Imps on their away day 3 points. By the way, for Retribution, the Bruni for Lincoln campaign starts here. Joey Barton for Lincoln potentially as well, because he could be in trouble at Bristol Rovers.
No, thanks. Thank you for my beer yesterday, Tony. Much appreciated, by the way. That's a great chat.
Hello, mate. Hello, Alfie. Hello, Sue. Hope to see you next season. You're right, mate. How you doing? Good to see you in the chat. Again, get your comments in. Jake, good weekend for you, mate. Not. You know, we had a bit. We met yesterday, which we'll come to later on. But it was a good weekend for you, wasn't it?
Well, it started off a bit of a nightmare, mate, trying to get to Fleetwood, because I don't know if many other people around the country have experienced the ongoings of Storm Barbet. Roads were flooded, roads were shut, motorways were shut. Getting to Fleetwood was a bit of a nightmare. We got onto the A1 at Retford, Ben, and both lanes were severely underwater, which was a bit of a nightmare. But once we got there, onto the M6, up to Fleetwood, beautiful blue skies, beautiful day to watch your team play football, beautiful time to go and watch your team pick up their first 3 points ever at Fleetwood Town. So, yes, very good, mate. It was a good weekend. Good to see you as well. Obviously, it was. Always love playing Fleetwood, because it always means that we get, we say the same about Pompey and would say Oxford, but Wardy doesn't actually go to the games, does he? But when we play Pompey and Fleetwood, it's always good to see you and Tom. But yeah, looking forward to going through all the details, mate.
Well, let's start off with Bolton Wanderers 2, Northampton Town 1. Bolton, again, got another victory at home. That's 5 home victories out of 8 for them. They've collected 16 points at home. And although it could have been 3, possibly 4 in that first half, Northampton did what Northampton do very well, and that is stick in games and give themselves the best opportunities of getting something out of the game. Now, Northampton have lost 7 games this season, all by the scoreline by 1 goal, but these are losing to good sides, aren't they? They've lost to Wigan away, they've lost to Bolton away, in that run. And, they've lost the last 2 matches. They've won the previous 2 matches. So Northampton are doing, quite well considering, of who they've played. And it is a good team they've got. It was quite an even game. But Bolton have that bit of quality. And I thought Randell Williams was excellent. He created both goals. Obviously hit the woodwork. Dion Charles poked in his 8th goal of the season. Great victory for Wanderers.
Yeah, that was good. You summed that up well, mate. It's almost like you listened to me on T-Lop earlier. But
to be fair, Jake, I didn't actually listen to you.
Oh, fam.
Don't flatter yourself.
But yeah, no, it was, but Bolton probably could have been out of sight, but Northampton were able to keep them just about. Yeah. It's back in my possession now, that shirt. Bolton were good. Like I said, Randall Williams, he's probably not had the best time of it since coming in. He's been in and out of the team. He's been, he's a left winger really from his time at Wycombe, if you can remember, Ben. They shoved him out at left wing back. And yesterday, I thought it was his best performance in a Wanderers shirt. Absolutely ran the show. Having said that, we say Bolton should have had 3 or 4. Northampton could easily have had 2 or 3 themselves. Bolton playing out from the back. I know Rico Santos was back this week, which was good for them, but a couple of mistakes passing out from the back. Dakris Cogley made a couple of mistakes, I think. Sam Hoskins probably should have had a hat-trick, but he was able to get a goal. But yeah, good. I mean, Bolton, the most important thing, like I said on T-Lop earlier, was that Bolton got a win, got 3 points just to keep up with the teams at the top end of the table, because Barnsley, Peterborough all picking up points yesterday was pivotal for them to stay in and amongst that group.
Absolutely. And going on to Burton Albion now, we were absolutely flying. And I put this little tweet out, yesterday evening. And from January 28th, he finished the season in style. Obviously, he picked 34 points up from 20 matches, a possible 60. That is, 1 point. You're looking at it. It's very good in terms of points per game, isn't it? Really, 1.7 points per game. And they did start last season very slow, but they started this season very slow, and that's what Burton seemed to do. 2 points from 7, and since that Port Vale game, both seasons have flipped on the head, like I said in T-Lop before. That Port Vale have gone on a poor run and Burton have gone on a good run. Burton have now won their last 4 games, unbeaten in 7, winning 5 of those. And let's be honest, they've gone to Reading, got a point against Fleetwood, beat Cambridge at home. They've now beaten a decent Bristol Rovers side. We'll come to Bristol Rovers in a bit, but this Burton side are only 3 points off the playoffs, and maybe where we expected them to be at the start of the season a little bit.
Yeah, my only caveat to that, you say Burton are near the playoffs. They played 14, and most other teams have played 12 and 13 that's kicking around them. So you naturally expect them to sort of drop down in the next couple of weeks or so with games in hand. But, I watched Burton last week, Ben. I was really impressed with them. I thought Josh Gordon was fantastic. He's been a great acquisition from Barrow. Quayle Bar, by the way, I don't know if you've seen it when
you told me before the game scores, he was.
And they run to the corner flag, and the Bristol Rovers fans are giving it the big one. And Quayle Bar sticks out a fist bump to try and fist bump one of the Rovers fans. I think he got politely turned down, but he's one hell of a player. I think he was at Rochdale and then got a move to Watford and has come on loan to Burton, doing really well. A really good player to have in transition because he's so quick and so powerful, and scored a goal himself yesterday. And you've got to mention Joe Powell as well. You think of the midfield that they've got there. Powell and Helm, 2 very capable midfielders, and Powell
as well.
Exactly. And they scored Powell scored a great strike from the outside the box. So Burton, they perhaps started slower than what they would have liked, but certainly the last couple of weeks, I think it was is 8 unbeaten now for Burton. They're getting on, and you've got a new mate, haven't you, in Dino Mamria, because he's. I was surprised you didn't mention this, because you don't like getting mates with the professionals, do you? First Alfie May, and now we've got Dino Mamria quote tweeting your bloody stats, but they're a good side, mate. You'd expect them to be absolutely fine this year. Whether they're good enough for the playoffs, I don't think they are. They're sort of, the way I see it is, there's a top 6, there's a bracket down, and then there's another bracket. But I think Burton are at the top of that second bracket, or they're then bottom of the bracket, just outside. It's difficult, really.
I think they are in the bracket. I don't know if the top. I like Berry Labal, who got a hat trick, got a couple of assists yesterday. Assisted a goal, 2 goals yesterday. He's got three goals this season as well, and he's been very, very good. He's been lively, and obviously never really worked out at Blackpool for him. And I think he went on loan to Colchester, didn't he, last season? And but like you said, Gilligan, Ashiba as well in that midfield as well. And you're starting to see Moon, Sweeney, Seddon, and Hamer, Croker. And that back line as well, coming to fruition. And Bristol Rovers, I'm really worried about Joey Barton. For the first time, I'm seeing questions asked about him. And when he throws players under the bus, and it's very much like, it's not me against the world. If Bristol Rovers win, he'll go, this is the journey, and I'm going to take this club. And when you lose, it's nothing. It's no I. And I don't like that. I don't like managers that pray away. And that's what I like about Dino Manvria. That's what I like about clubs like that. I think Gary Colwell, when they were doing well, was literally it is us against the world. And obviously they've lost the last 5 games, so things might be a bit different now. But I don't know how to see it because Bristol Rovers were right. He didn't do anything with Bristol Rovers first time in League One, right? He got them up. He should have got them up.
Yeah.
The way they got him up, 7-0.
Yeah, should have been more comfortable though, Ben, shouldn't it? Really?
He should have done, but they did it. Well done. You can't take anything away from the way they did it, the way they turned it around. Last season, I gave them a little bit of leeway. With Aaron Collins, without Aaron Collins last season, I think they could have potentially gone down last season because you're taking a player that's got 27 goal contributions from a team that finished mid-table. It's Alfie May for Cheltenham.
Yeah,
That's
you'd be
all
down.
you need
They'd
to
be
say.
down.
That's all you need to say. A team of a front three that has got Collins, Martin, Sinclair, Ward, Woods, and Evans in midfield, Vale, Grant. Vale was awful yesterday, by the way. Grant, Taylor, Gibbons, Cox in goal. Cox is a good young goalkeeper. Is he better than James Bell Short? No, absolutely not. And then you've got players like Finlay, who's a very, very good player. They've got, Thomas as well, who's an
Giovanni Brown.
Giovanni Brown. This team should be doing miles better than it's doing. And they are leaking goals and they are not playing in a good fashion. I think I got asked a question on Twitter before we did a question, and I didn't mention Joey. I think the next 3 that are in trouble, I think Paul Warne, I think Joey Barton could be in trouble. When you look at when we always look at the table, which we will do later on, he's got to be under some pressure, surely.
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't know if you follow him, but Dan Hargreaves is the Bristol Rovers reporter for Bristol Live or whatever their version of that Reach PLC group, whatever it is down there. He put a tweet out saying that Bristol Rovers are exactly where they finished last season, and Joey Barton, with the summer that he had, the players that he brought in, was meant to be showing progress, and it looks like he hasn't been able to do that. So yeah, I'm starting to think. Cheers, Dylan. I'm going to ignore you said that. I'm starting to think that Joey Barton isn't the right man, because if you bring in a coach that's going to get this Bristol Rovers side defensively solid, they've got the attacking outlay. You look at Brown, Marquis, Sinclair, Collins that are at the football club already. They should be scoring easily about 50, 60 goals. That's enough to be able to get you kicking around. You'll get some from Connor Taylor, and Jack Hunt, and Ryan Woods in midfield, and Sam Finlay, or whoever. With that, you should then looking at 70, maybe 75 goals, which is probably enough to get you in the top 6.
He always says that, Joey. He always says get 80 goals.
Give or take. And if the problem is they just concede too many. They were the same last year when we put 6 past them, mate. Other teams would put them, and Burton did it again yesterday. They're not learning the lesson. And do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it comes to maybe Halloween or just after, and Joey Barton's out of work, because I think that Bristol Rovers fan base, you said it when Joe Barton was at Fleetwood. When he's the manager, you want to believe him so much because he tells you this is what we are, this is what we're going to do, and then things untangle a little bit, and then you go, well, you've been feeding us lies this whole time. And I think Bristol Rovers fans are cottoning onto it, and they're deciding maybe it's time for a change. And I think, do you know what? I'll say it. Joey Barton is the next Sky Bet League One manager to lose his job for me.
Before we just quickly, and you've just mentioned something there that's just twinged it. It comes at time. Joey Barton at Fleetwood lasted 2.5 years at Fleetwood. He got appointed in, he got announced in April, but he started because obviously he's banned. He started obviously at the start of the season. You look at it, he came in February for them. A couple of seasons ago, he had 1 season, obviously half a season when he went down, season getting back up, 2.5 seasons. He's starting. This is the longest he's been a manager at a football club. He's coming into his 3rd year now, 3 full years. And I just wonder if that period of, they talk about honeymoon periods where, things start to wear off. I think that has happened there. But Charlton are on a honeymoon period, aren't they? And they scored 10 goals in their last 3 games. Alfie May, Chuks and Ike, Miles Leeburn are on fire. You've got players back from injury. Blackett Taylor got a hat-trick of assists yesterday. It's another victory for them against a really poor, struggling Reading outfit, who are the only side in League One yet to register a point away from home. 7 away games, 0 points, 4 goals scored, 17 goals conceded.
Yeah. How long is it until we get concerned about Reading, Ben? Because they are horrific on the road.
They've got Fleetwood on Tuesday. So.
Yeah. So that's that's like going past the speed camera at 10 miles an hour of the speed limit. And you play Fleetwood, 3 points. But for Charlton though, mate, Michael Appleton's getting a tune out of them. I didn't actually think he'd be able to do it as quickly as he had done, given the fact that it took a bit of time for him to get Lincoln going when he came in here. But to be fair, he's working with a better squad. There's some star players in there. We all sort of earmarked at the start of the season that Charlton would be certainly in the playoffs because they brought in Alfie May, Harry Isted, Pantuche Kamara, Lloyd Jones, Teo Eden, all star performers at this level. Like, let's be honest. And under Dean Holden, for one reason, it just didn't click. But Mike Appleton's put them in a 4-3-3, and my goodness me, Ben, they are good. Although I do have the fire extinguisher next to me just to put them out on Tuesday night, obviously. But yeah, they're a really good side. And you look at the goals yesterday in transition; they're just so dangerous when they win the ball high up the pitch and they're playing the ball around. And you've got Corey Blackett-Taylor who can put a ball in onto the head of Chuks and Ike like that, and you've got a centre forward like Alfie May who can put the ball away like that. And then best goal of the bunch, Tyrese Campbell, some strike for a young kid. Also, I didn't realise his middle name is Tupac Shakur. I didn't realise that was. I thought that might have been another. You know how Cornell gives nicknames for players sometimes. I thought Cornell called him Tyrese Tupac Shakur Campbell, like he calls Tyler Rude Boy Walker, or do you know what I mean? But yeah, no, it was a great start from him and Charlton there. Read to the wine. Yeah, we'll talk about him later because it was one hell of an assist. But Charlton are doing really well, mate, under Michael Appleton, and they've got a really good squad. And it was only going to take. It was going to come, wasn't it? Charlton picking up was going to come, and they've got some. They're too good to not be playing around where they are in the table.
Reading away from home recently have been like a jigsaw. Every time that pressure gets put on them, they turn to pieces. They really do. And honestly, they just crumble. Like, they really do. And it's, when Nestor Guinness-Walker, who's 23, he was very good for AFC Wimbledon for a number of years, where they got him from the Metropolitan Police, I think he came from. He's creating your most chances from left back. And it's like, when you've got players like, Wing in the team and, those types of players. Sam Smith was back in the team yesterday. Yeah. That's probably the only kind of real positive. And he'll be thinking, I'm not the only one thinking that we could go down here. Be done. Had to be done. But Reading I'm worried about. I really am. But for Charlton, electric. And this is the start now. 7 unbeaten. Obviously, they beat Fleetwood, under caretaker charge as well. Obviously, got Scott Brown the sack. But they're starting to, when you look at the underlying stats of everything, they're a playoff team. And I do think they will end up in the playoffs. I really do. Cheltenham 1, Cambridge 0. Cheltenham are off the mark.
You called it. You
I
said
did.
1-0
I just fancied it when Darryl Clark first came in, and it was a very good goal from Sericum, who scored, 22 goals for Oxford, scored 19 for Bristol Rovers, and now scored 17 for Cheltenham. He just loves that area, doesn't he, really? He's kind of stuck in the area. He's probably lived in the same, neck of the woods, realistically. It's not too far to travel. And, he is a bit of a Cheltenham cult, legend. Street, obviously, a goal and an assist in his last 2 games, and 4 points for Cheltenham out the last 2 games, much better. I will say one thing, though, Jake. I'm really worried for Cambridge. Now, you remember last season, we always mention it, that they won the first 4 home games. This season, very much the same. Now they just can't seem to get a win. Not 1 in 7 since that Reading win on Sky on the Monday night. They've lost 4 of those. And they just don't look like conceding. They've conceded 11 in that time. And the next 3 games are Portsmouth at home, Carlisle at home, which is huge, by the way. So it's going to be a very, very tricky couple of weeks for them.
Yeah, and Cheltenham probably deserved it, actually. And I'm really glad. I'm really happy for Matty He's had to wait a long time for a first win, and shouldn't be waiting till the end of October for your first win, should you? But yeah, there were full value for it, really. I thought great goal from Sercombe. Whether he means it or not, they don't really care, do they? A goal's a goal in Cheltenham. So yeah, Cambridge, you are starting to get a little bit worried for them, really, because they've got some good players, Ben. But what I said at the start of the season, the recruitment just didn't sit right with me. They didn't really bring in any one star. They lost a load of good players. Smith and Nibs was a real big loss. Joe Ironside left the football club as well, and they brought in players like a Hadme and Kai who had done it at this level, but only just. So yeah, for Cambridge, you say they've got Carlisle. Is that next Saturday?
That's Saturday. You've got Portsmouth on Tuesday.
That is, and do you know what? I don't know what score prediction I gave on T-Lop earlier. I think I probably backed to draw, but looking back, I'd probably fancy Carlisle to go there and turn them over, because Carlisle are pretty decent themselves.
Yeah.
So,
what will he play, Carlisle? How will he set up?
In a low block. They will. That's all they do. And you know what? And I'm sure if Tom's in the chat, I'm sure he'll agree with me. All they do is play in a low block.
Right, we'll come to Carlisle in a bit. Before we do carry on, if I was a Cambridge fan, don't bother going to the game, because if you go 1-0 up, they'll beat you 2-1, or the kind of shot in the sea will score off a Jack Sparks corner in the last minute, and that we'll know about it for another 4 days. So, yeah, thanks for that. Exeter 0, Wigan 2. Both sides had lost their previous 4 games going into this, but it was Wigan who got the win. For Exeter, they've lost the last 5 games.
Yeah.
They did beat Leyton in the Cup, but they lost 9-0 to Reading in the Papa John's Trophy. They lost 5-0, I think it was, to Arsenal's Academy. They are leaking goals. And I don't know if this is down to Gary Colwell, the change, Dimitri Mitchell on Twitter. I can't pull my finger on it. You just look a totally different side. They were top of the league 5 games ago. Like, 4 weeks ago, we sat here going, 2 points a game, the top of the league with Port Vale. And they're both at the bottom. This is why you don't read anything into the first 10 games of the season. You really don't, because you're starting to see it now, aren't you?
Yeah. They're sort of going on a similar run to what they did at the end of last season, aren't they? Where they lost 6 straight games. They had a bit of, obviously, a pick-up at the start of the season, but they're in that little bit of a rut, aren't they, at the moment? And they just need a result to go their way. And I think, luckily, there'll be one coming next Saturday. But yeah, that's us, Ben. They play us next Saturday.
Yeah, sorry, I thought, hang on a minute, we're not playing Exeter yet. It's a couple of weeks.
3 points, but no. Yeah, I don't know what's going on at Exeter. I don't think it's Dimitri Mitchell on Twitter, because that is honestly fantastic content. If you haven't seen Dimitri Mitchell on Twitter, go and make sure you go and check him out. But Wigan I thought were decent. Really good first goal from Martial. Is it Martial Godo?
Godu. Martial Godu.
And then the second one was in transition again, wasn't it? Where they hit them down the left-hand side and it takes a heavy deflection. But Exeter had half chances yesterday. If they take one of them, it's a completely different game. So, yeah, I think Exeter, they just need to get a win, however ugly it is. And I don't know what it is that's going on behind the scenes, whether it's Gary Colwell or if it's the playing squad. I'm not too sure. But, we've always known Gary Colwell can get a tune out of this Exeter squad. And you'd imagine that they'd pick up form in a couple of weeks. But for Wigan, that's massive to get an away win. First time and a win on the road since they beat Bolton. So, and they've been poor in recent weeks as well. They've had a lot of poor performances. So that will give them a lot of confidence that they can go and push themselves into the mid-table group and not be so worried about the drop.
Bang on. Agree with that. Mark, Wigan will be 16th without deductions on the same points as Exeter. And Exeter, if I'm honest with you, would they have taken 16 points from the start? How many games you had? Probably yes. But when you have that amount of points after 8 games, it's totally different.
Yeah.
So their outlook on, because how they performed in recent weeks, but over the course, they've done well to get them out of points. And yes, you're all right. The end of the season, not in very good fashion. They lost 6 games in a row, then beat Morecambe. But those 6 games, in fairness, Jake, they were playing Plymouth in there. They played Ipswich away. Played Charlton. I think they got done for 6 at Charlton and Ipswich, didn't they? I'm not being funny. Exeter were Ipswich's kind of, I was about to swear then, but it was the kind of Ipswich's servant there, weren't they? Kind of, cats out Portman Road, Ipswich win and get promoted.
That's not for everyone, mate, is it? Get the Portman Road. Last season.
But Wigan were excellent, and I thought Josh Stones did very, very well. Young striker, held the line up very, very well. Only played a couple of games, had a couple of games in Scotland. Callum Lang out. With
it's a good academy though, Ben, isn't it? It's a good academy. Wigan have got such a good academy.
They've had to rely on it, and people talk about money being invested into the football club. That is not a waste. Fleetwood Town put money into the academy, and I know Junior didn't come for there, but it's players that you can sign for the academy that will push on into the first team. Carl Johnson yesterday, who will come to Fleetwood now. But before we do, finish Yank, worn out, he won't get Derby up, just make mid-table. Thank you so much for the donation. All the donations do go back into funding, like the software for the channel and new microphones, and paying him as well to come on as well. So
paying me?
Yeah.
Really? How much have I accrued in the last 2.5? How much have I accrued in the last 2.5 years?
Sorry, didn't I not offer you to pay for a Wembley ticket last year?
Oh, okay, you did.
Yeah, Well, we won't get into that. But again, thank you so much for the donation. We'll come to Derby County very soon.
Where we go next, Ben?
Fleetwood Town 0, Lincoln City 1. Now, before we get into this, but obviously, again, there's 60 odd of you in. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. The numbers are creeping up slowly. We met Jake how many times have we met you now? Four
or five. Yeah.
4 or 5, yeah. I think this was the first time I met you. No,
the playoff wasn't. The playoff final wasn't. We met that season, didn't we? Because we met. You came to. We met virtually, didn't we? We met when I did a preview, and then the first time we met in person, you came to Lincoln at the start of the 21-22 season, and we beat you 2-1. And then that season, I didn't come up because they.
Okay, right. Season? This was the first time I met Jake, okay?
No, it was.
First time I met Jake, okay? Second time we met Jake, legal player final. No, look at the height, right? Like, so significantly smaller, right? And I can say there was no steroids involved in this, or no boost or anything. Yesterday, can I just say?
He was still on a hill.
I can now. Yeah, right. I'm looking down on you for the first time. So again, we
were looking down on you on the scoreboard, mate.
Say again.
We were looking down on you on the scoreboard.
Lincoln City came to Highbury. Was it offside? I think so, but we scored an offside goal against you last year. It was offside. It was offside.
I've seen it. I think it's a bit closer than the Paddy Lane one. Put it that way.
Paddy Lane was miles offside, and justice was prevailed. Lincoln were the better side, so there's no excuse it. Fleetwood were awful, didn't get out of second gear. And for the first time, I went away from that game seething yesterday. I was so angry because of the lack of, I think it was, we didn't show any enthusiasm, no effort, no energy, no rhythm, no style to our play. We didn't test, your goalkeeper, Jensen, enough. And Jensen didn't. He had a couple of saves where he had to catch the ball or jump on the ball or come out and collect, which I thought he did very well, by the way. Commanded very, very well. I think that helps when you've got Mitchell, O'Connor and Jacks in front of you, who are very good defenders and experienced. But Lincoln were excellent on the lead. I thought they sat into the shape. They were very narrow in the shape. And it was basically break us down. But they didn't just sit in on it. They could have had 2, possibly 3 on the break. Thought Rico Hackett, led the line very well. And, Erahan, midfield, it was quite annoying because he basically turned into the Great Wall of China. I know he's very good. Hamilton was excellent, the best player on the pitch. Probably in the top 5 best players I've seen at Highbury this season. All opposition players, by the way, as well. Your wing backs did a job, and Lincoln went away with 3 points. So I'm not going to be bitter. I thought Lincoln were the better side. You're a good football club, and you only, I think what are you 5 points off Barnsley with a game in hand. I know the table at this time, games in hand need to be played. I think if you're that in 10 games time, you'd have done well.
Yeah. It's difficult. Obviously, we take the lead early, and that sort of changes the whole game completely because we don't then have to go and try and get us, go and attack you a little bit more. And it comes from a corner. It's very tight, Ben. It's in situations like that where I can understand why the Linos kept his flag down, because it is literally a case of inches. It is. It literally. I think Alex Mitchell's feet are onside, but I think Alex Mitchell's top half of his body is probably offside. And sometimes he scored the goal with his feet. His feet were onside, so that's probably what the Linos thought. But I thought that after we scored the goal, we sat back a little bit. You had a bit of luck. Cheltenham was turning Jack Burrows inside out. He's a really talented player, probably one of the best opposition players that I've seen against Lincoln this year. And then first half, we probably could have killed it off. I know we had a couple of opportunities. Sorensen down the right-hand side was causing your wing back, your left back, all sorts of issues. Got booed, I think, for dislocating his elbow as well, which was a little bit surprising. And then second half, I think Fleetwood actually came out and were the better side. I won't deny it. I thought Fleetwood penned us in at times. Vale in midfield was good. I thought it played the ball around really well. Cheltenham again was your main threat on that right-hand side. There were so many nearly moments that nearly fell for Fleetwood, and they didn't quite, because you've not quite got that confidence, and you can see. And then that allowed us to have the space on the break. Rico Hackett pulled his hamstring, which was really sad to see. Reed to the wine pulled his hamstring. And it was hot. Do you know when you see a player get injured and you can hear them scream and you can hear them in pain? It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But Jovan came on, and to say he's 19, thought he did okay, held the ball up, could have scored. Hakeeb could have scored, but he also got Toto Enciala sent off, which was the right decision, by the way. Because if you don't drag him down, Jovan goes and puts that probably on Jay Lynch. So, yeah, I think we could have had 2 or 3, but we weren't great. And you know what? It's been a tough week for Lincoln. So for our interim manager to come to Fleetwood, we've never won there before. We ain't got a manager, by the way. Tom Shaw, it looked like he won a fan competition to manage the club, but fair play to him. He does all the off-the-ball stuff anyway when Kennedy was in charge. And he did really well yesterday. Then
do you think he'll stay at the football club?
Eh?
Do you think he'll stay at the football club?
Dependent on who the new man is. If the new man is already in the building, we might have to wait and see. But I imagine he'll probably stay and be some sort of dependent. We might get Stephen Bradley, and he might want to make his own staff. But I think you're right, Ben. I think we just shaded it in terms of Ethan Hamilton was unbelievable. Ethan Hamilton and Ethan. I told you, I don't think there's a better 2. There's better 3s, but there's no better 2 than them 2. So. Yeah, I won't go on forever about it, but we finally beat Fleetwood. You gave it to me last year, and
I didn't.
No, but you beat us last year.
It's right. Whenever Fleetwood lose a game of football, right? Yesterday I was a bit peed off. More than that, you can back me up. Come on.
I saw you out the ground, didn't I? Accidentally, I watched him stomp into the tram station. He was sat on his phone editing the vlog like this. I'm thinking, fucking hell, that phone's gonna break.
Anyway, Leyton Orient 1, Barnsley 1.
Sorry.
A game full of events. Now, Leyton Orient deserve humongous credit because, they've lost 1 in the last 7. That's to Fleetwood, by the way. They've won 4 of those. Got a couple of draws in there as well. 14 points from those 7, because they only had 4 points from their first 6 matches, with a point away at Bloomfield Road, and they beat Cambridge earlier on at Brisbane Road. Joe Pigott, again, another goal on that front 2 of Satoru and Pigott leading the line very, very nice. And Archibald and Graham doing really good jobs on the wing backs. And I really like Orient how they can transition. I went to go and watch them last week against Carlisle, and they played 4-2-3-1, and then they slipped into a 3-5-2, and then go into a 4-3-3, and they knew the jobs very, very well, and that's kind of Orient have gone massively up in my estimations. The way they played, and they were good yesterday. But Barnsley again were brilliant. They're unbeaten in 3. All those 3 games have been away from home. I think at the moment, the way they set up, it's to kind of, be solid defensively and hit teams on the counter-attack, and it suits their game a little bit more, to play away from home than it does at home, because, they've only won a couple of games at home, haven't they? Another 7-0 to Port Vale earlier on, and they won against, I think,
Did they beat Port Vale 7-0? Did they?
Yeah, they did. But again, they've won 6 of the last 9 games, which is unbelievable. Lost 2. That's to Portsmouth and Blackpool. So, again, this side are going to get better. Devante Cole is the first player to 10 goal contributions, and the way they set up, it's kind of it was a 3-1-4-2 yesterday with Russell behind Kane and Benson. Kane with an absolute superb strike, worthy of goal of the day. Should have scored after, in my eyes. Cosgrove got sent off, absolute stupidity. And for a player that wasn't brilliant last season for Plymouth, but got known as like a super sub, didn't he, early on in the season, and was a bit like Okunabire for Cambridge. Started off, scoring goals off the bench. It weared off a little bit towards the end, but he seemed to be a bit of a flop for the Reds. But again, Barnsley, if they can go and get a couple of wins this week, obviously at Oakwell, I know they've got Fleetwood coming up, so there's 3. It could be a huge win. They're in the top 3. They're 20. What are they on now? 23 points. I think it is 18. You're
23.
You're on 18. I like Barnsley, and they're getting better.
Yes, they are. I mean, they shouldn't have conceded a penalty yesterday, because it's not the worst decision, because there are 2 others which we'll come on to later. But it's not a handball. It's not a handball. The Barnsley man cannot move his hand out of the way. I think it's a ridiculous decision, and I think it's one that the handball rule needs to be looked at anyway, Ben. But that is not handball. The Barnsley man cannot physically move his hand out of the way. I mean, Joe Pigott takes it well. Really good centre forward at this level. I think he just needs a confidence boost in season, like when he was at Wimbledon and he was the main man. I think if Orient can get that side of Pigott out, where he's got that swagger about him and he's the main man. Pompey didn't quite manage it last year, and Ipswich certainly haven't before. I think he's going to be a really pivotal part in their team. And then they had a couple of opportunities, didn't fall their way. Then Barnsley get back into the game with a great strike from Herbie Kane under the bar. Don't know if you've seen it, Ben, but when they panned to Herbie Kane running in front of the away end, don't know if you've spotted the Barnsley fan going headfirst over the barrier at Leyton Orient. And it's a bit of a drop, let me tell you that from experience. But they could have won it. The Solbring made a couple of good saves, a couple of deflections, didn't really fall their way. But Barnsley are on a really good run of form. And they're a little bit similar to last year in the fact that they haven't started the best. They didn't start the best. Bar the 7-0, they went on a bit of a poor run, didn't they? And then they've just started winning, and they're a bit of a machine at the moment. And I don't think you want to play Barnsley in the next 6 to 8 weeks, because they're going to try and dominate you, and they're going to be aggressive, and they're going to press, and they're a really good side. So yes, the Barnsley train. I think they probably should have won yesterday, but the Barnsley train keeps moving, and fair play to Neil Collins, because nobody, in fact, all of us on T-Lock said they were going to finish outside the playoffs. And if you're honest, they're one of the only couple of teams that are sticking with Oxford and Pompey at this moment in time. So fair play.
Absolutely. Oxford now, and they do finally not win a game of football. Oxford had the second lowest expected goals yesterday on 0.35, which is a little bit of a worry. Again, Greg Lee, 5 goals now for the season. He's their top goal scorer, and he's been brilliant. Those have come in the last 6 games. Rodriguez, I thought, was excellent. Although he's not got goals or assists this season, he's won fouls. He was the most foul player on the pitch yesterday. Most dribbles, in a lot of games this season. And, he's a bit like a kind of a Jack Grealish type of player. He doesn't always get goals or assists. He'll get the odd goal. He'll get the odd assist. And his numbers won't be bad at the end of the season. But he offers a lot for the team. And when you've got players like McGuane and Brannigan and Greg Lee and, Long and Moore that can get into the box or set pieces, players like Rodriguez are very handy. And, he'll kind of get the assist for the tapping for the goal, and you know, the core link up, and that's the most important player, the player, I think, that one player, and take him out the team, and Oxford are a worse side. I do want to say something on Blackpool very quickly. I thought Blackpool in the last few weeks have been absolutely outstanding. They've lost 1 out of the last 6. They've only lost to Derby at home, which was deserved. Blackpool didn't turn up. They only averaged 0.96, you know, expected goals. A lot of their chances are coming through Jordan Rose. He had 3 shots on target. He pulled one, I think, just over the bar on 86. And then, you know, he had one in the kind of earlier on in the game. And you don't let Jordan Rose have 1 chance, not alone 3. That's 7 goals in 6 or 8 in 9 for him. And he's been a breath of fresh air. Oakley Booth made his debut. Blackpool are looking the real deal now, aren't they? And, you know, 11 points from 6. You know, they hammered Liverpool's academy as well. And, you know, they've got a good run coming up. Cheltenham, Peterborough, who did fancy to beat Peterborough when they went up. I think it was 4-3 a couple of years ago at Bloomfield Road. Then they travelled to Fleetwood. So they've not got much travelling to do. And they're looking good for the Seasiders.
Yes. Firstly, on Oxford, I think you're spot on, Ben. Ruben Rodriguez is a massive cog in that wheel. And to say they played without Cameron Brannigan yesterday, I thought Oxford put in as good a performance as they could have done, given the fact there's been illness in the camp this week as well. A lot of players played without training much at all this week, and I thought to get a 1-1 draw with Blackpool, having trained probably 1.5 days between the 11 of you, I think that's pretty good going. It shows a good side, and he had to rotate yesterday, absolutely. The goal is fantastic. It's a Liam Manning goal. It's a blueprint of a Liam Manning goal. It's 10-15 passes before ball to the back stick, and it gets headed back across, and Greg Lee taps it in. But Blackpool are a bit like Barnsley for me, Ben. They're in the habit now. They're in the groove. They're getting there, and they've got a focal point like Barnsley have with Devante Cole, with Jordan Rhodes, who is probably the best? He's probably the second best behind Colby Bishop in terms of getting the ball up and making it stick, and being effective with the ball at his feet as well. You know, I said it, and I know I repeat this all the time when we talk about Blackpool. I remember when he came on for his debut away at Lincoln, and I was severely impressed with him that day, and he didn't score, but really, really good centre forward. Blackpool might be stuffed if he goes back, whether that's his decision. I had a chat with a Blackpool fan on Wednesday on EFL Debate with Gab, whether it's his decision. You know, he might opt to stay at Blackpool, which then only increases their chances for automatic promotion even more. But they're playing really well, playing good football under Critchley. We know that when Blackpool get on a run, Ben, we saw it in 2021, unfortunately, at our expense, how good they can be. And they've got players from that promotion side in there. Husband, Kenny Dougal's still there. And very good ball in for the goal. CJ Hamilton has come on leaps and bounds. Killian Kouassi, a good find from Sutton. So, yeah, Blackpool are on a roll at the moment, and you wouldn't want to play them. And in fact, probably, I know you play them in a couple of weeks. I think it's probably the best game for you. A local derby. I know they're in good form. All the pressure is going to be on Blackpool, Ben. You're going to have the reins off, the shackles off. No one expects you to beat Blackpool at Highbury as well. Probably a packed out crowd. Probably Blackpool fans in the home end. I know there's definitely going to be one in the home end in the Memorial Stadium vlogging or something like that. But look, Blackpool are a very good side at the moment, mate, and it's going to take a lot to beat them at the moment, I think.
No, I think getting Kyle Joseph back, because if you can get Kyle Joseph back, it'll be huge for them. Obviously, they had, you know, Medine and Yates as a front two. You know, when they went up a couple of years ago, and Yates scored a lot of the goals.
Ellis Sims and all.
You know, Sims was excellent as well. And they had what's it called? Oh, Embleton as well. Elliot Embleton. Elliot Embleton. You know, in midfield.
Kenny Dougal.
Yeah, exactly. Dougal was ace, but getting those front two. Obviously, Rhodes can score the goals. I think he'll stay at Blackpool. I really do. Unless Huddersfield are struggling, I think why? I really do. Peterborough 2, Wycombe 2, Jake. A great game. Two good sides. 22 points for Posh, 20 points for Wycombe. They've got 20 points from 10 games, Wycombe, which is unbelievable, really, when you think about the start they had. Got hammered to Exeter on the opening day, got hammered against Lincoln at the Bank. But since that, unbeaten, kind of only two defeats in 10 games, won 6 of those. And, Paddington, Boys, Potts, Scowen, Taylor, Hanlon, Phillips as a 7, Leahy, Lowe, Farino, Joseph, Stoycheck in goal. It's a very, very good team, isn't it?
Yeah, they're a very good outfit and they're good at what they do. Well, having said that, every time we can pull up a performance, but they don't do it in a Matt Bloomfield way, do they? At all. No. I think of Northampton away. I think of, Peterborough yesterday. The win against Leyton Orient a couple of weeks ago. Very similar traits to that of a Gareth Ainsworth side. Ainsworth's under a lot of pressure, by the way, at QPR, so that's going to be fascinating to see how he gets on.
QPR only won 6 of the last 46 games.
In Bob
26.
But yeah, it was a good game actually. I thought, Posh are a good side at home. I think, we said Posh crumble under a lot of pressure, but I think yesterday was the first sign of Peterborough actually standing up to a bit of pressure, because Wycombe were very direct and very in their faces, and Peterborough stood up to them pretty well. Got themselves in front of them, and then they were able to. Wycombe were able to equalise through Dale Taylor. But yeah, they're 2 very good sides, Ben. 2 very good sides that you put in that bracket of good enough to finish inside the top 6, but could easily miss out because there might be better teams. So yeah, both really good. Like I said, both play some good football. And yeah, like you said, they're playing Luke Leahy as a left-sided centre-back. And I don't know.
Working. It's working.
Yeah, but I don't know how I feel about it.
Mate, you've got to remember, right? He played there for Bristol Rovers. He played left back for Bristol Rovers and played left centre half for Bristol. Look, he didn't play very well there, but it just works. It really does.
Yeah,
and when you play it, when Boys, he's a good. I think he's a good defensive. Good player.
Defensive. He's a good he's a very good offensive wing back.
He was good defensively when I watched him a couple of times. Very good. And, he looked very good. But Leahy and Boys, they can switch within game, can't they? And that'll work well. And Peterborough, again, drawn 1, drawn 1, drawn 1, drawn. 7 games unbeaten now, which is quite good. 13 points. Starting to put a bit of a run together. We are going to fly through the games now. Portsmouth won again. Beat. Portsmouth have a day off. Come on. 6 straight wins, 12 goals scored in that time, only 5 conceded. And when you're getting goals and assists from your defenders, Rafferty has got 3 assists. Poole has got a few goals as well. Shotnessy 2 goals. Sparks. Shotnessy, corner, ball in, winner, last minute. Wycombe at home,
copy and paste.
Carlisle. It literally was. And same corner of the goal.
No foul on the keeper this time, though.
The Houghton Poor found a way through. It was a good victory for Port. If they draw that game last season, they're on 31 points. They haven't lost a game for 225 days. 11th of March, they lost to Sheffield Wednesday. They are 24 games unbeaten. This Porter side look good. Bishop should have scored a few. Lane should have scored a few. Robertson had a great effort. But the one interesting one, Butterworth could have scored. And I tell you what, Norris came up with a massive save at 0-0. He made a couple. He made a massive one in the last minute against Exeter. He made a couple against Lincoln. He's made a couple. I'd say Norris has saved Portsmouth 10 points this season from saves like that. Because if they go a goal down, they would have probably won 2-1. Let's not beat around the bush. You know what Portsmouth are like. But Norris came with this, Peterborough saying how bad he was. The playoff game, I think, has got to the head. He was unbelievable, I thought, for Peterborough at time last season. And he's been unbelievable for Portsmouth. He wasn't the most glamorous of signings when you're signing Tino, you're signing Robertson, you're signing Poole. You've got Bishop still at the football club. I think he's their biggest and, probably the most important sign because he's a goalkeeper. Yeah,
goalkeepers are important, mate. Let me tell you about that. But, first half, I think Pompey probably should have run away with it. 13 shots. Colby Bishop certainly should have put one in. Paddy Lane probably should have done better when he raced clear of the Carlisle defence. but to be fair, Carlisle had a few moments as the game sort of grew on. They're not a bad side, Carlisle. They were acclimatising to the level. I thought they were really good going forward. Like you say, Will Norris makes that really that strong right wrist down to it, down to his bottom right is a fantastic save because he has the power to, when you see it that late and the ball is hit as hard as what it was, sometimes your wrist just wants to give it in and let it pass. But to have your wrist be that strong and to be able to push it as far away as he did was really impressive. And then, do you know what I said on T-Lop earlier? I think Jack Sparks is probably the most underrated out of all the Pompey signings because he's been pivotal. If you ask any Pompey fan, and we spoke to Tom about this, and I'm sure we'll get Dylan's input in the chat because we normally do.
Until they lose,
you can't drop him. You can't drop him. The balls that he puts in from the left-hand side are phenomenal. They're magic. And you said earlier, Ben, that Pompey always rely on getting that one chance, that belief that they're going to have one more opportunity to go win the game. Without Jack Sparks, they'd be 4 points worse off, wouldn't they? It's a great ball in for Connor Shaughnessy. It's a great header. Pompey keep on rolling. They're a special football team at the moment. They're a really good football team, and it's hard to see where the defeat's going to come from. But I think it will come. But I think this Pompey side will be strong enough and good enough to just go shrug it off. One defeat. Let's go 24 unbeaten again. Let's go 25 unbeaten again.
Would be interesting because could happen. See, they lose Tuesday to Cambridge 1-0. Away. It's a tough place to go, the Abbey. Then they go 1-0 down next week at Reading, potentially. It's 2 games they should win on paper. Portsmouth should win. Let's be honest, there's only maybe 4 or 5 games this season where Portsmouth aren't the favourites to win. And they're your Derbies away, they're your Boltons away, because, they're a similar side to you, but you're away from home. But Portsmouth should be winning every game on paper, but it don't wash with me. They say do that. That's what I want to see it. I don't want to wish defeat on anyone, unless we're playing them, of course. But I want to see for Portsmouth how they can bounce back from, a bad result. Just quickly now, Shrewsbury 1, Derby 0, 7 points from 3 for the Shrews. They got a penalty through Max Matter. He was absolutely crumbled and taken ground. It was basically UFC. I've watched it 6 times. Like, he's run through. There's one player here. Max Matter is
nowhere near him.
Doesn't even come out. He's given a pen.
And if there's contact, Ben, if there is contact, I'm not saying there is. He's probably brushed past the defending player outside the box, and he stumbled into the box and fell perfectly. A bit like Alejandro Garnacho last night. I don't know if you saw it. One hell of a dive, but ridiculous decision. Not the worst, I don't think.
But that side, obviously, they've pulled a couple of good results lately as well. Beat Northampton, great result last week at Cambridge. Taylor Perry, who is excellent, by the way. I'm a big fan of Taylor Perry. I'm a big fan of Kenner. I'm a big fan of all that midfield, really. Winchester, Fleming, Kenner, Perry, Bale is just in front. And obviously, you've got Shipley to come back as well, obviously, who's long-term injured. And, Udo and Matta need to get up and running the defence we talk about every week. For Derby County, 18 points from 12 games, 1 win in 4, 9 points from 7. If the football was good, I could maybe let Paul Warren away with it. Yeah. And Wardy made a great point. He doesn't come up with many good points, but he's come out with his one per season if they didn't play Tuesday, he'd probably be out of a job right now. And I can kind of see that. They've got Exeter on Tuesday, which is a huge game for him and that football club. Derby County are not an underdog in League One. If they're in the Championship with that squad, fair enough. Paul Warren might be the right fit for them at that. But I think he's a wrong man. I think he's a right man at the wrong time in a similar sort of way. But at this moment in time, he is not the right man for Derby County Football Club.
Correct.
And it's an underdog mentality, and he doesn't work at Derby. If you're a manager of Lincoln or or Exeter,
Paul Warren, Ben, would do a better job at Lincoln than he would at Derby. Absolutely.
And he's a good manager, but the squad, I know they've got so many injuries. Horahan obviously come back and scored an own goal. Should that team really walk the league? And I put them top of the league because they're Derby County. I've let a big team buyers get in my way. If that team was Fleetwood's, you'd put them mid-table. That 11, And it was a squad of Collins, Bird, Forner, Smith, Sibley, Barkus, and Forsyth, Nyambi. Nyambi's probably Derby's best player at the minute. He's a right back. He's been really good consistently. Nelson, Cashin, you know what you're going to get. He's a centre half. He's like Josh Earl. He's a luxury player, but he's a centre half. Wildsmith and goal. He made a couple of good saves yesterday, by the way. Was unlucky not to save the goal, I thought. That team, I don't think it's even the top 10 starting 11 in League One. I can name 10 better teams than that. Wycombe are better than that. Peterborough are better than that. Blackpool are better than that. Charlton are better than that. You know, Portsmouth, Oxford. You know, that's 6 already, and you want to get into the playoffs.
Yes, I agree with you, Ben. Derby yesterday, they just look lackluster. They don't look like they believe in what the manager's trying to tell them. And when you get to that stage, you tend to find there's only one solution, and the manager tends to lose his job. Football's not been great. I think we've said that all season, even though they've won games of football, they've been very poor in those games, haven't they? You know, you speak about the Fleetwood game. Fleetwood probably should have come away with something from Pride Park this season. They didn't, but because Derby were very fortunate, and they get in this position where they lose a game where they probably should win, and then they just about scrape a win together. Well done, Matty boy, and you win this weekend. But there was a lot of stick came Conor Hourihan's way into it after the game. I think I like the way that he reacted to it. He went over and faced up to it. I didn't like all the shouting, all the abuse. I don't think that's going to help in this situation. They win on Tuesday. It's not all forgotten about, but you know the mood.
They win the next 2 games.
Yeah,
they'll
mood's
have
a bit more
24
positive going
points
to
from
Saturday, and they get another
14.
win, and the ball starts rolling, and they start picking up points, and they're in the top 6 all of a sudden. But yeah, I said it months ago, Ben. I don't think Paul Warne's the right fit. If they were going to do anything, they should have gone and got Darren Moore before he went to Huddersfield. That would have been the perfect fit for me.
I agree with that. I think this game we can get through quickly. Stevenage 1 winning 5. Port Vale struggling. 0-0 draw. Stevenage again, another point for them on the board. Both of them another point towards 50 points. That's the first target. I think the reality of being in League One is weared off with Stevenage a little bit now. Obviously, now you're in the brutality and you're dropping out the playoffs. You played more games. The next 5 games, if you're not welcome to League One yet, welcome to League One. Bristol Rovers away. Typical League One tie. Horrible League One tie to play, really. Derby at home. You know, Derby can pull the result out of anywhere. Wycombe away. Well, I'd say Wycombe is one of the hardest and worst places to go if you need 3 points. Lincoln at home. Lincoln are difficult, especially away from home, as I found out. Fleetwood away. Oh, you know, typical League
3
One.
points.
Yeah. Port Vale again. They're missing Ellis Harrison. They're missing something up front. Obviously, Uch. Uch Ikpu. Made his debut yesterday. Second debut. Uche, where it is. Both of them have Ripley and Ashby Hammond have both got 5 clean sheets. There's nothing really more to say, I don't think, Jake.
You've missed the penalty, mate.
I know I have, yeah. Because I thought I'd leave it to you. I think the Shrewsbury one was more of a penalty. No, I'm only joking. I'm not. I will get people coming at me for Twitter about that.
Listen, Ben. What do I say? Steve Evans come out after the game, and I know Farley loves him. I know Farley absolutely loves him. And he says, "Oh yeah, the referees gave us nothing today. Didn't let us have any decisions. I'm expecting an apology from the PGMOL on Monday morning on my desk." Standard Steve Evans after his side haven't won. How on earth he can come out and say that after Port Vale were denied the most blatant penalty I think I've ever seen? I mean, the Stevenage man is diving, is on the floor, nowhere near the ball, and he's taken it. It's a penalty, Ben. Do you not agree? Do you agree?
No. Oh, mate, he's off the ball as well, and it's like, you know what it's like? It's basically like like bumper card. He's basically targeting just to snap.
It's not even like the ref couldn't see it. It's not even like the ref was looking straight at it. And
the ref, for me, I'm not being funny. There's been 37 red cards. I thought it was a red card as well, by the way.
Yeah.
There's been 37 red cards this league. 5 of them for Fleetwood, by the way. But you talk about discipline. You're talking about being harder. That has got to be a penalty. And if Port Vale say go on a bad run. I know they're on one at the moment, but say if they drop into the bottom 4, say if Stevenage, stay up instead of Port Vale, these decisions, you gloss over. People talk about, you talked about VAR in League One. We need full-time referees. We need it's got to be done. Full-time referees in League One has to happen. Goal line technology in League One has to happen. And I'm sick to death of saying, we can't, the EFL can't afford it. Well, I'm not being funny. What teams can't afford is to drop down a relegation on one decision over 46 games, which I know you can say will be better over 46 games, and that won't matter. But you'll lose about £800,000. Action have lost 600 grand. They said Andy Hall went into absolute meltdown, which I was loving last night. Bear in mind, I don't know if you've seen it. He's sat on the club because of an interview. Brilliant.
Cheered you up, didn't it?
Grand. And it's got to change and quick. Again, we'll come to the League One table now. Again, it's not great viewing for some of us. Let's put it that way. But again, if you could like the stream, again, thank you so much for everyone that has liked and watched so far. Jakey boy, are you going to return to YouTube before we go any further?
Sooner rather than later. Yes. Yes, there will be a video out before Christmas.
You think?
Yeah, I'll have a laptop soon, so it should be. Yeah, it's why not? Yeah, we'll say why not?
Let's hope you do, mate. Let's hope you do. So the League One table, we'll start off with the bottom, I think. I think that probably the best way to go is from the bottom all the way up. There we are. So Cheltenham Town get their first victory of the season to go to 6 points adrift. Reading dropped to 23rd, 6 points now for them on the board, and they would even be in that bottom 4 without deductions. A grim time for them. All their points coming at the Medeski. Fleetwood Town on 8 points from 12, 2 wins under Lee Johnson, 6 games in charge, taking 7 of those 8 in the last 6 games. Wigan still in that bottom 4 after a great result yesterday, but they would be as high as 16th in the table without it. Carlisle just above a point would have really helped their cause yesterday. Northampton and Cambridge and Bristol Rovers are always floating. Bristol Rovers in the same position as they were last year. Exeter City and Shrewsbury in the pack where you'd expect them to be. Port Vale and Leyton Orient are in there, but it's very close, Jake, in that bunch.
Yeah, no, it is. It's you can see the league sort of splitting up a little bit, can't you? You can tell the teams that are going to be in trouble. Those that are sort of under maybe 13 points, 13 points and under. I hate to say that, Ben, because you're one of those teams, aren't you?
No, it's not right. It's not actually funny because I'm panicking. I'm going to lose my job.
You're going to lose me. I wouldn't quite say that because you know who said that, don't you? You know what that situation came from.
Oh, yes. I know that, but yes.
Similar situation. You've been there before, Ben. Got that T-shirt, haven't you? Anyway, yeah, it was... it's tight, Ben, down the bottom. And you know what? A couple of wins can see you out of it, really. Like you say, Wigan should really be... Everyone should really be a place further down because Wigan should really be... And without points deductions, you start to worry about Bristol Rovers and Cambridge, don't you, really? I think you're looking at real... Shrewsbury and up, I think, will be fine at this moment in time. And it's Exeter down are the teams that I'm concerned about. And out of all the teams that are in that group, the one that I'm least concerned about is Northampton because I think they're good enough. But the rest, Exeter, Bristol Rovers, not on great runs of form. Cambridge again. Carlisle, 1 win in 5 is not great. Wigan, Fleetwood, Reading and Cheltenham sort of speak for themselves, only on single-figure points. So difficult, mate. That bottom half is not nice reading, and I'm very glad that we're not in there.
Absolutely. There we are. In that one, though. You look at it, Jake, just quickly. Look at Port Vale upwards. I'd even say, look at, Shrewsbury and Exeter, 16 points. They're only 6 points still off the playoff. So it's
difficult, though, Ben, because the group in front of them. So
that group,
Leyton Orient.
I think.
Go on.
I think Leyton Orient are a top 12 team. I really do.
Yeah.
But obviously, those 12 are good. I really do. And I'd struggle to replace, probably Burton would be the ideal pick, but Burton are absolutely flying right now. And I think Leyton Orient over a 46-game season might be a little bit better. But all that pack there will be aiming, I'd say, up to Derby County won't be thinking it. Charlton won't be thinking it. but from the top 8 upwards, and Derby County and Charlton will be thinking promotion. The rest will be thinking, let's get to 50 points. And then that's where your packs form. Because I think it's that top 4, I really do. Porter, Oxford, Barnsley, Bolton. Then I think the next match is Peterborough, Blackpool, Wycombe, Charlton, Derby. And then I think you go to the next bunch of expectations, certainly Lincoln, Leyton, Orient, Burton, Stevenage, Exeter, Port Vale, and then I think Bristol Rovers will be in that pack as well for me. And then I think, like I say, the table speaks for itself there. I think the ones that are going to be down there will be Cambridge, Carlisle, Wigan. Will be the top of that list, I think. If not into the next bracket, Reading, Cheltenham, Fleetwood are I'm struggling not to put Fleetwood in my bottom 4 at this moment in time. That's why, if you notice, I didn't answer any relegation questions on my Twitter Q&A before conveniently. But again, Derby County 18 points, Charlton 18 points. It's going to change this week massively because we've got 2 games. Burton now being 19 points, 3 points off the players, but played a couple of games more. Wycombe just outside, Blackpool are flying at the moment as well. And Stevenage won't win the playoffs for too much longer, I wouldn't imagine. Peterborough and Bolton are going on good runs. They met just a couple of weeks ago, and that top 3, I think, are probably the best 3 sides in the division at this moment in time.
Yeah, and you know what? Some teams have got 3 games, haven't they, in the next sort of certainly the next 9
Some playing
games.
Halloween.
Yeah. There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
4 games on Halloween.
4 games.
5 games that match week.
Yeah.
There's 4 games on Halloween, 1 on the 1st of November.
Yeah, and then there's 2 on the 7th. I don't care, but it's going to be you know. You say this all the time, Ben, but in 3 matches, we're going to know a lot more about the table. We're going to know because there could be Bristol Rovers could get 9 out of the next 9, and could be in the top 10. You know, Lincoln could lose their next 3 and be stuck on 18 points. Fleetwood could win the next 3 as well and get up to, what would you be up to? What you on? 6 or 8? No, you're on 8, aren't you? So you'd be doubling your points to be there.
Fleetwood has got a real. I said this at the Wycombe game. I was worried after yesterday because you've got Reading's away. Reading aren't bad at home. Like Reading are not a great side, don't get me wrong, but they're not bad at home. Barnsley away is I'm almost certain that we're going to not win that game of football. It's a 3-8 realistically. You've got an FA Cup game then. Obviously you've got Blackpool.
Who did you draw, by the way? FA Cup?
Kidderminster.
Oh, going away or at home?
Of course I go. I'm not Wardy.
Where is it? Away?
Game. Yeah.
Is it away? Oh, mate, yeah. Agra. Try the Agra pie. You'll absolutely love it. One of the best away days in the Agra pie.
Yeah. Agra pie, right. There he is. 4-0 written all over it. There we are.
Can I just say, I've just spoken to Dylan and he said he would drop Sparks for Ogilvy.
Yeah, I know. Very interesting. Anyway, guys, get your questions in the comments below. The next 2 or 3, the next 5 minutes are yours. So again, get your questions in. And again, we are, I think, like the last time of checking, we're going for a big push this month for 12,000 subscribers, and we're currently 10 away from being 100 away. So if you could help us out, that'd be massively appreciated. A big thanks to Jake as always, mate, for giving up your time, and it's good to see you yesterday. I bought your little sub dinner, your bottle of recorder leg.
Yeah, it was nice, mate. Yeah, I've completely forgot I completely forgot that I was driving when I got home, and I had 2 beers, and I was thinking I suddenly got in the car and I thought, oh God, am I supposed to be here? But no, I was fine.
Absolutely. Do you think Cheltenham can get some? I think Cheltenham will. I don't think they'll get out of the bottom 4. I'll be honest with you. I don't.
I'd be surprised.
But I think they'll improve. I think they'll make a go of it. And I think this next 5 games are important. Blackpool away is a tough game. Really is. Going to Bloomfield on a Tuesday night. You know, beating Cambridge at home and going away at Blackpool are 2 totally different games. And it's kind of, I don't want to be harsh on Cambridge, but it's, you know, you're at home against a side that, you know, you realistically want to try and finish above in the table, that you're trying to bring them down to be below you. You think of a 4, you'd be thinking Reading, Fleetwood, Cambridge, Carlisle, Northampton. You'd be thinking that's 6 that we've just mentioned.
Mm.
Bolton got Wycombe away and Charlton away. Very tough games. Bolton, yeah, that could be a couple of Bolton at home has been the worry for me this season. You know, drop points against Peterborough there, lost against Wigan, lost against Carlisle. Whenever there's a big crowd, Bolton seem to kind of cave in a little bit. Bar Wembley a couple of years ago, which 6 months ago, a couple of years ago, 6 months ago. Bolton under pressure. If you go back to the Bristol Rovers segment, we did talk about this, and we believe he is. I think he is. Anyway, from my personal expectation of knowing Joey, his interviews aren't good at all. His interviews are the worst I've ever seen them in. It very much, I'm getting annoyed with the fact that when you win, it's, you know, we're going to go on a journey and we know Joey Barton's this. When you lose, it's kind of Luke Thomas is this. I think the alarm bells when he dropped Belshaw, and he did it the same to Cairns. Belshaw is a better goalkeeper, in my opinion, than Cox.
I disagree.
He's not. Yeah, but you're saying that because you like young goalkeepers from Premier League academies. Let's be honest.
He's an England under-21 international, right?
Yeah,
James Belshaw,
I get that. But I'd rather
never got anywhere near that sort of level.
Belshaw is experienced, right? And I really like that over him. And, you know, Cox is a good young goalkeeper.
Have you seen Cox play this year in 90 minutes? You played Bristol Rovers.
We haven't played, but I've watched quite a couple of the games.
It's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal.
I'm not saying he hasn't, but I think at this run, when you're conceding goal after goal like they have been, I kind of think, you know, Belshaw, they lost 6 in a row last year. They put Belshaw back in and they came on a good run. They beat Oxford away, beat Fleetwood away, ended the season quite strongly. You know, when you look at it, I think they drew against Derby, got I think it was a Marquis late goal or a Sinclair late goal. Cowley brothers back to Lincoln. I don't think that's the right fit. That is not the right fit at all.
What was that? Who was Cowley's that? No, thanks. No, we've got
Peterborough wasn't a big concern due to be frozen down to 10. It's a big following. Yeah, I don't get it. Bolton, they've got 19,000 home fans. Why worry about the other team bringing 3,000, 4,000? Still, you know, 5 to 1, isn't it? You know, and then when you play Fleetwood, it's 20,000 to 1. 5-1 to Wigan. Shrewsbury next 5 league games: the Barnsley, Reading, Wigan, Bolton, Blackpool. Core, but they've just played Derby and won. You know, we said this. Cox has been good. No. And it's a very old defence as well, isn't it? It's a very old Bristol Rovers team. Like, I'm not a big fan of the signing of Chris Martin, if I'm honest with you. That is a typical Joey Barton signing, that, you know, old experience, you know, been good maybe 4 years ago, and it's just there to fill the hole till January, because he's only on a contract till January, till they get Clark. Yeah. I mean, Clark Harris is leaving the football club in January. That's a foregone conclusion, I think. D-Mac even said that on his podcast, I think. Cole have amazing support. I think Colwell may be struggling. Do you think Colwell's in trouble?
No, I don't. The way Exeter do things, Exeter don't sack managers, Ben. I'd be very surprised if they get rid of Colwell purely because of a bad run. I think they know that he's putting building blocks in place there to make them a sustainable League One club. Because let's be honest, before last year, Exeter were a club that couldn't get out of the League Two playoffs. So for him, even if they finish 17th this year, 18th, I think he's still got to be looking at least starting next season in that post.
Agreed. Jake, any final words before we do end the show?
I wanted you to ask me that. I thought the next Lincoln manager.
Oh, go on then. I thought you were in a rush to get off. Go on.
No,
who do you want?
I'm not in a rush, mate. Well,
Chris Cohen, Bradley,
yeah.
Scott Brown.
No, not Scott Brown. I think you did a Q&A before we came on, didn't you? And your top 3 is the same as mine. Damien Duff looks like he's leaving Shelbourne. That would be interesting, I think. Although he would be my last pick. Because his football's not very good. My second pick would be Stephen Bradley, who's the Shamrock Rovers manager. And by the way, his Shamrock Rovers team tonight have won 5-0 against Drogheda. So he is a very good manager, and we targeted him last year. And I told you yesterday, Ben, the one I want is Chris Cohen, who subsequently is now a coach at Lincoln City because he came in for the Fleetwood game. So that's going to be interesting. But Chris Cohen would be my pick, personally. Young coach, you know, a bit like Messinio, just retired, one other player. That would be my pick. If I had to, but I wouldn't be disappointed with Bradley. I would really like Stephen Bradley. So I'm sort of torn. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at both hands going, they're both good. it don't matter. Give me one. Give me one of them.
Absolutely. And Lincoln, again, well done yesterday, mate. Any final words before we do end
No,
the show?
mate.
And again,
Yeah, just it was good, mate. It was good. It was good to see you. It was good. You know, these trips where you go to Fleetwood and Portsmouth from our point of view, and it was the same when I go and see Matty at Cheltenham and Barnsley to see Taylor and Bristol Rovers. Oh, we already played them, so I didn't go and see Charlie. Whoops. But yeah, it's always a good moment to go and visit the club of your mates, and you meet your friends and you go for a beer beforehand. It's literally the whole reason that we go, isn't it? Just to meet people and got sat
you're
around the
spelling
table.
friends wrong, Jake. I see you as colleague.
Oh, fantastic. But to sit with Tony and just to be in gym, it was good. It's one of the best away days for me, Fleetwood, because not only do I get to see you, but I also get to meet the community of Fleetwood. It's great. So
can I just say before we do end, right? Honestly, I've been doing YouTube properly for a number of years, but properly I'd say 3 or 4 years interviewing different fans. I've probably done 100 different people. Wembley playoff final, I did a lot. I've had more comments, right? Not about my video, about Sue's feature in the video, saying how good she was, how brilliant she was. And, Sue is brilliant. And again, Sue is a star. So it was lovely to see Sue yesterday. A big shout out. And she made me some shortbread, actually, which has gone down an absolute treat. And,
yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard you've eaten it all, mate. Maybe you're the small wide one that chat was going on about. Maybe it was you, not me. My shortbread's still intact. I've only had about 3 or 4 bits.
Yeah, same as me. I've shared mine. Sharing is caring. Thank you so much for watching tonight's live stream. Again, 75 minutes of everything League One. Again, Lincoln beat the CODS. Portsmouth stay top. Oxford still in the top 2. Bolton win again. Bristol Rovers is Joey in trouble. And again, 12 more games on Tuesday. Jake will not be here Wednesday. We give him the week off, but he'll be here next Sunday live from 8 o'clock. We'll be live here with Tom from 4-0 written all over it on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So get subscribed, get your notifications on for that. We will be travelling all the way to Reading on a Tuesday night to watch the CODS hopefully score a goal and win a game. But we've been through this before. Thank you so much for watching. Up the CODS, up the League One. Thanks for watching.
Up the Imps.
Up the CODS.
Alex Mitchell.
VAR goal review.
Wipe your tears, mate.
Oh, have you been told to say that?